You're very welcome back. Today we're craving something that's muffin short of amazing. Chef Chrissy Gibson is here to show us to make the fluffiest homemade English muffins. Thank you so much for joining us today. Okay,
So
the day
welcome.
that's in it, we probably should have made it an Irish scone rather than English muffin, but I'll forgive you.
I know.
I'll forgive you this time.
I'm sorry about that. Well,
Yeah.
you know, I did want to make something for breakfast, and this is something that I think a lot of people don't think to make at home. It's sort of like bagels. You just go buy them, but they're actually so easy. You start with 120 mils of water and 180 mils of milk, okay? And you heat these up so that they're warm, not scalding, but we're gonna add 30 grams of sugar to that, okay? And then you stir that up, and what we're doing with this warm milk is we are going to activate our yeast with this, okay?
Oh, so it needs yeast.
Yes.
Oh, so
and
this is what scares people, the whole use of yeast.
I know. Well, normally I don't usually do yeasted breads on the show because I've tried it a few times. My biggest disasters have been yeasted breads because I bring them over and they collapse in the car on the way. But anyway, this is no problem because we don't do them in the oven. We do them on the hob. Okay. So we add a good bit of yeast. It's very lightweight, but it's 7 grams, which comes out to...
I like your measurement, a good bit. Just dollop a bit in there. But you have to be quite precise.
Yeah, it is 7 grams. With breads and things, you do have to be kind of precise. So what we're going to do is we're going to let this sit for 7 minutes. Now, I'm cheating today because we don't have 7 minutes to wait. But in the warm milk and water, your yeast will activate in that time, okay? So you set that aside. In the meantime, take 475 grams of self-raising flour, okay? Add a teaspoon of salt to that. That's 7 grams, all right? We'll mix that up, and we're going to add our milk mixture, and we're also going to add 1 egg and 45 grams of butter, melted butter.
And is this a whole egg?
This is 1 whole egg. Beat it before you add it. And then we're going to add 45 grams of melted butter, all right?
Has to be melted.
Yeah. Now, we're going to mix this up, and then we'll add our warm milk mixture. Again, we want to let that sit for 7 minutes. I'm cheating today because we don't have that much time. Yeah. So this dough will turn out pretty sticky, all right? And that's okay. Let it be sticky. If you find after you have added your milk mixture that it's too sticky and you can't work with it, feel free to add just a little bit more milk.
So you have to be very careful, I would imagine, mixing it to make sure that it's quite fine, like all the flour has finally gone through it and mixed properly. Because you're being very gentle there with it, Chrissy, I noticed.
In fact, do you know why? Because I always leave wearing everything. Have you ever noticed? My stuff goes everywhere. So you can do this in an electric mixer on low with a bread paddle, or you can, I suppose you could do it with a hand mixer. No, you could use a stand-up mixer with the bread attachment.
But what's the best method to make it the fluffiest muffins possible?
Because I think this is so simple, I just use my hands.
Yeah.
So we've got all our ingredients in. We're done.
And you're not physically putting your hands in. You have to use a spatula because that would warm it up too much.
You can use your hands.
Okay.
You can use your hands. So this is our dough, okay? And it's not too sticky, so I'm not going to bother adding any more flour. Take a greased bowl, all right? And let your dough sit for about an hour and a half, at least an hour, okay? And I like to put mine somewhere warm, like the hot press.
So
It'll rise. It'll proof, yeah. All right, cover that up with a towel or cling film, something. And, oh, what's happening with my hob here?
I didn't do anything. I'm over here, wasn't
Elaine.
me? Not me. Don't blame me.
I think it's because I've got the bowl on it.
All right.
So you're going to set aside your dough.
Okay.
Let it proof, okay? And then you are going to, once it's done, you're going to take it. You don't need a rolling pin or anything. Just use your hands.
You take it and blob it on the thing.
You just blob it on a floured surface, okay? And then you want to flatten it out.
Okay.
So that it's about, I don't know, not quite an inch tall.
Okay.
Okay?
And then, how many muffins will that batch make?
Between 12 and 16.
Wow.
But the thing is, you want to use, if you don't have a 3-inch cookie cutter, you want a round cookie cutter. If you don't have one, you can use a drinking glass. Just make sure that the rim is 3 inches across, okay? So And if you're using a smaller glass, you'll probably get at least 16.
Okay.
So what we've done is we've just flattened this out. Notice how I just used my hands. We're going to cut our circles, and these will be ready to go. The thing is, they need to proof again.
Again?
But only for a half an hour this time.
This is an awfully long, drawn-out process.
Now, come on, it's hardly any work at all.
If you're in a rush for your breakfast, I'm not sure you'd be making
If you're in a rush
now.
for your breakfast, you probably wouldn't be baking something.
Yeah, that is very true. That is very true. So you'd make them the day before. And how long would they stay fresh for, or is it?
You can keep them in the fridge for all week, I'd say,
yeah.
and you can even freeze these. They freeze very well. Now, what I've done is I've got, you can use any kind of plate or tray. You just set these aside on cornmeal. Do you see what I've done there with the, here it is.
I was wondering what that was.
So you can use polenta or cornmeal. Have you ever noticed how your English muffins always have cornmeal on one side? Yeah. Well, we're not cooking them in oil. We're cooking them on a dry pan on top of cornmeal, okay? We're gonna set these aside and let them proof again for half an hour. Again, putting them back in your hot press is perfect, okay? So once you've kind of gone through this dough, where'd I put my glass?
Yeah. Okay.
Are we out of time?
No, we have a little time, but I'd really like to taste them now. I'm getting a
go
little bit
for
peckish.
it. Now, Elaine, let me tell you what I gave you. I gave you one toasted because that's how you're supposed to eat them.
Okay.
But I also gave you one fresh off the hob. Now,
which one should I have?
Yeah, that one. Okay. I like to just pull them apart like this. And that's kind of traditional. But you can also use a serrated knife and slice
So you put them in the pan while I'm tasting there. You can tell us.
Well, let me tell you, after you've gone through your dough and you can't make any more shapes, just make another circle with it, okay?
Yeah.
And flatten it out again, and then cut more. Cut more discs. So now, I did mention this goes on the hob. You're using low heat, and it's best to use a cast iron skillet if you have it. And the reason is, the cast iron skillets really distribute the heat quite evenly.
How low is the heat on that?
Between, like, this is on a number 2, but like low to medium, not quite medium.
And how long should they be
7 minutes on each side.
Okay.
Okay? And you're good to go. That's it.
That's it?
That's it. And I tell you, my family loves these. Everybody loves them. I didn't bring sourdough muffins today, but those are good too. Do you like it?
Absolutely delicious. And I never knew they were cooked without oil.
I know.
That's fascinating.
And that's what the cornmeal is for.
And it doesn't burn because it's so low.
That's right. And so when you get your muffin, you might want to just brush off the cornmeal before you put it in the toaster.
Crazy, I'm delighted now. I'm going to have a little cup of tea now here and have my breakfast. I'll see you again later on.
Yeah,
Thank you so much. Yummy. Now, full recipe details are on our website, or you can find more from Chrissy on Instagram at Take the Cake Dublin. Chrissy will also be back later with another treat for us. Delighted about that. Surprises for us. Now, up next, we meet the man who recently smashed not 1, not 2, but 3 Guinness World Records. Stay with us.